So hey, sorry everybody that we were going running a little bit late, not going late, running late. Same kind of verb, just different action. I don't know. I'll shut up. But anyway, welcome back to Behind the Fiends, and I'm joined by my old Ghostbusting buddy from Pennsylvania, Derrick. How you doing today, man? Well, I know how you're doing, but we're placating to the crowd here to how you're doing.
I'm doing good. Staying busy, and always something going on. Thanks for having me back, though.
Oh, you're welcome, man. You're welcome. For those that want to see behind the curtain, me and him have been talking hockey and stuff for the past 30 minutes and player contracts. So sorry. It's guy stuff. Just happens. But
yeah, don't start that one again. Otherwise, we'll never get back on track.
No, it'll turn into a hockey podcast.
Which I'm okay with.
Oh yeah, I've actually thought about starting one, to be truthfully honest. So if you're game, I'm game.
You know where to find me.
Yep. But what's been going on in yours and Mr. Daniel's life? Any exciting investigations lately?
We've been staying busy, man, on that side of things for sure. We were just out of Gettysburg again about a month ago at this point. Stayed at a bed and breakfast there for a whole weekend. So that was interesting. Like the first night was very quiet, and then all of a sudden the second night just kind of blew up. But I don't want to steal any of his thunder either. We can for sure get into some of that kind of stuff whenever have him back on, because I'd love to share some of that stuff with you. We did a lot of the Estes stuff again, and it was just a lot of the Gettysburg stuff and the Civil War stuff. It's typically tied to like tragedies and death, and it's almost cliche to a point, because the people that we communicated with and actually spoke to there had nothing to do with the Civil War. It was the people that used to live there. It was children, a mother, so it was much more meaningful and just completely different than what you'd expect.
I know there was an orphanage there where I heard about the lady that ran it was not super cool to the kids.
Yeah, that was the Gettysburg Orphanage, and the Jenny Wade House is actually like right down the road from that, and we did both of those in one weekend. But this place is called Rainworth Lodge. It's definitely it's I want to say newer, as in it doesn't have much documented history behind it. A lot of people, being that it's a bed and breakfast, have been staying there for multiple nights. I just talked to another group, just kind of exchanging some things, information, evidence that we got, in hopes of continuing to dig and get more information. But they're going there for 4 days, so it's like definitely open yourself up to that kind of thing, because a location like that, if you have the opportunity, you take it. But I can tell you from experience there that like it changes. It like they get comfortable with you, and you start to understand and know who you're talking to. And then we added 2 females the second day, and it changed the atmosphere, changed the energy, and almost allowed them to open up more. They were a little bit less fearful of 3 guys there. A little bit different, especially as we think it was two young girls and a mother. And, that you even think about that in a perspective this day and age, it's, you have a child, who are they going to be more drawn to? A little girl to 3 grown ass men covered in tattoos and beards, or, a little bit older women, like gentle, soft. It's completely different.
I can tell you for a fact, as a guy that, I go into churches and, I walk in the churches and people will look at me like,
yeah,
this guy really. But yes, I believe I'm just got graffiti all over me, but
just that guy.
Yeah, the guy with earrings and tattoos, the punk rocker.
Well, don't send me down that route, because that's part of my Yeah. Well, I'm doing good today.
Dan said, especially when one is balding.
I mean, I think at one point that came up during that investigation too.
Hey, I am bald, so I just shave it all off. There's no hairstyles anymore.
That is
Them
a
days have
hairstyle, man. Don't
passed.
let anybody tell you differently.
I thought about doing the Hulk Hogan, just, RIP, but, just wearing a bandana and just growing it all out.
You know whose fault that is? It's Annabelle. It's Annabelle's fault that he's gone, Ozzy's gone. It's all her fault. They let her out and see what happens. Shit hits the fan.
Speaking of Annabelle, the comedian Matt, what is his name? Matt Rife?
I'll be honest, my wife told me that last night. I have no idea who that guy is. I don't know if it's
He's
just
a
because I
young
watch.
up and coming comedian. I watch
Okay.
him sometimes, and he's funny. He's
Is
super.
he?
He's like Daniel Tosh a little bit, but a little
Okay.
more energy. But he's super into paranormal, and
Okay.
he does his own YouTube channel doing investigations. And I'm like,
That's an odd
out of
combination.
all the things that you could have bought, you bought this murder doll.
Well, from what I heard too, like they were never going to let pieces of that museum go, like piece by piece. Like they were never going to sell it off. That was part of their thing. So it's all or nothing. So I guess he went with all. He bought it all.
Well, at least Zach Bagans didn't get it because that dummy. I remember
Oh yeah,
the Warren son-in-law. He went to Zach's
his museum
and took Annabelle with him and let Zach kind of do like a little EVP session. And that dummy opens up the case and wanted to touch her, like
Well,
tempting
I mean,
fate. And I'm like,
that tells you everything you need to know about him, and that it's for the entertainment value. And again, we could go off on an entire rant about that guy.
well,
I mean,
I think he hurts you all in terms of people taking you all serious in credibility
well,
circles,
it's certainly it works both ways because he don't get me wrong, I hate the guy. and I think so too. I think that the way he does things and all it takes away from what we're trying to accomplish. But at the same time, he was able to get some of these things on the map and get them more, openly discussed. And it kind of takes some of the fear out of discussing these things and talking about these things that a lot of people will just look at you and call you crazy when you start talking about it. But being that he was able to kind of push that to the forefront, and it was one of their best shows on cable television for how long, that tells you that people are interested, regardless if they want to tell you that or not. But there's definitely it definitely works both ways.
I would be lying if I said that when he first started, I entertained by him. Yes, because you had this dude bro with all black clothes and his fancy hairstyle, just being a douche canoe to all these ghosts in places that he would go visit.
Well, to be honest, I still enjoy the show leading up to the investigation. I mean, most of my stuff is the research and the writing about it and everything. And I do enjoy the way that show is put together as far as, production value goes and the research that they do on these places. And once you hit that investigation point where he takes the lead and they start to go, like, never mind. I do the real thing. I don't need this entertainment crap. But I mean, for what it is and for what it's worth, I do enjoy like the lead up to the investigation, which really, if you think about it, it is half that show,
People, and what gets me, and I'm a big proponent of being nice to people, and being cool and friendly.
Yeah.
And you hear so many stories about how he's just this jackass to everybody.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's a lot of places that we'll go to that they do owe a lot to these guys coming in and getting their locations, on TV, and kind of in the forefront of some of the things, some of these locations, you know, that no one would have heard of. They put them on these TV programs, and all of a sudden, everyone wants to go there and spend $500 a night to stay. But we do talk to a lot of these people, and they're like, yeah, you know, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you want to have your business going and you want to be able to keep running these places, you kind of need those kinds of people to help lead the charge, if you will. And then it kind of goes from there. But we've heard about it a lot. The people are just like, they don't want anything to do with him. And to be honest and to be fair, it's not just him. You know that show Portals to Hell, with what's his name? It's Jack Osborne, right? Ozzy's son.
Yeah.
They've gone into places and they just put a bad spin on things. Like we went to Lake Shawnee, and that was one of their locations. And the guy that runs the place is like, you know, we actually had to turn them away because of the title of the show, because they were talking about how, you know, there's it's a portal to hell. It's negative. It's bad, right? Entertainment value again. You know, there's nothing like that there. There's no portal to hell at that place, but at the same time, they have to, you know, it's a Native American burial ground. You don't really know what you're going to encounter there, but the show title alone had them turn them away. You know, so it's not just it's the industry, it's the entertainment part of things, exactly like we talked about. You know,
Yeah, and people that's met Jack, he's not a bad guy.
Oh no, I'm sure he's not, and that wasn't really what that wasn't.
No.
It was just, you know, the show itself and the title and everything.
I was just putting things into context and making a point. He is the son of an entertainer, and as such, that's what he is. He's a promoter. He's an entertainer.
He grew up on reality TV. You know, the Meet the Osbournes or whatever that show was. You know, he went through some difficult times of his life and on the TV. You know, and it's I can't even imagine what that would do to somebody.
Well, not only that, but even when he was still a kid, he was promoting the Ozfest. He was the one that was doing the deals for the bands when he was a teenager.
Yeah,
so
more power to him. I don't know how I could do that as an adult, let alone he did that as a teenager.
Well, his mom, she's the daughter of Dale Arden, who was a huge music manager, promoter, whatever back in the day.
If you think about it, it was in the blood. I mean, one way or the other.
And then you got Sharon, who was super protective of Ozzy, and rightfully so.
Had to be, exactly.
Because Ozzy seemed like, to me, always one of those guys that, regardless of you look past the facade, he was such a caring and loving person that you could easily take advantage of him. And it's, you know,
as much as that sucks, because those people, how many times do you hear that they have to, like, you know, put on a face and not really being themselves?
Matt Rife is going to allow people to stay in the Warren's house and conduct investigations. So does that mean that he's going to assume all liability when these people get deleted? And because if you're going to let them run amok, they're going to touch that dial. They're going to touch whatever else is in there.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Man, are there legal terms for the supernatural?
Are you? I mean, is there a you know, some kind of a contract you're going to have to sign that says, hey, if this thing comes to life and murders you, we assume no responsibility?
I mean, they've got some crazy liabilities out there. I as a comedian, I'm sure that he'll put something in there.
Look, I've been back. 7 months. I've been a practicing Christian. Now, I tried the church thing. Me and church, for some reason, it doesn't mix. It seems to, and not judging people that do go to churches and love their church, but to me, it seems to commercialize, to It's basically taking something and watering it down and selling it like you're selling something on Amazon. That's what
I
it
don't
looks like
think
to
that
me.
it's just the church per se. It's like the religions. They all have these weird feuds with one another, and then they start going off. And if you think about it, it's a business, so they do have to do some things like that to get you going, to get you coming back. Because if not, where's their money coming from? So
But
I'm not defending churches by any means. I'm right there with you. I just
but
you
as
just
a believer,
perspective kind of thing, you know.
I'm like, if you believe in the power of good and there's a good side, then there's a counter to that, which is a dark side.
Absolutely.
And that Annabelle doll, could I look at it as a skeptic? Yeah. As a series of just misfortunes that happen to people. But there's too many of these things that have happened
There's a
to
line.
say that it's just some coincidence.
That's one thing that Dan and I always go off of is there's no such thing as coincidences. It's just, especially in a situation like that, it's just too much over and over, and it's just, I don't know. You can't call everything a coincidence. You know what I mean? And there's so many things that have added up when discussing that doll, in the time frames of things and the people that are involved in things, and it's just it's too much at a point where you got to say, hey, look, something's going on here.
Everybody that's mocked it or touched it has either suffered serious bad luck,
and
injury,
not
or death.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the other doll, the Robert, it's just Robert the doll. Right?
Yeah, it's Robert the doll. He's in Florida,
where you have to ask permission to take a picture. There are countless tales of people taking pictures without asking permission, and they will literally write letters to that place asking Robert for forgiveness. And it's like, how you can't tell me that many people just have that bad of luck with the timing there. You know, it's crazy the way that stuff works. And who's to say how it works? It's all crazy.
And for context, the Annabelle that we see in the movies is spooky and ominous as it's supposed to be because it's a movie. This doll, if you've never seen it, those of you out here in YouTube land, this doll is a Raggedy Ann doll. It is the most unassuming thing that you could possibly look at. And there's report after report and story after story of people that have just got no way to sugarcoat it. They've gotten tore up pretty bad by this thing.
Yeah, and it's the livelihood around it, right? I mean, it's not just one occurrence; it's thing after thing. It's all of these things add up, and like you were saying with death, it doesn't always lead to death, but financial hardships, relationship issues, family ties, jobs. It's like it's anything that could be associated with something negative. That thing can turn your life on its head, and the amount of times and stories you hear about that compared to when it was locked up versus when it's open, it's surreal. It's one of those things that's hard to really believe. But if you put them side by side and it's like, hey, look, she's locked up, she's safe, she's protected, nothing's happening, no one's visiting, she's there, she's where she needs to be. And now she's taking, I've never even heard of them doing such a thing, but she's taking these like road trips and, they're turning her into a sideshow freak and like the guy that died at Gettysburg. I mean, it's just, it's insane. I mean, the guy had a healthy life and on the younger side for sure. And just out of nowhere dies because he came in contact with her. Like, why would you even risk it?
Younger side for sure. Yeah, it's like, come on, come all. Let's all go see the murder doll.
Yeah. I mean, that's really if you look at some of their advertisements, shit. I mean, it's right there. It's right along those lines, you know.
It's like, hey, what you want to do this weekend? I don't know. I
That's
thought
good.
about going to see this demon doll down the road here. I don't, Then we'll go get a cheesesteak or something
Yeah, right.
afterwards.
It's just like, continue life normally. Nope. It's not what Annabelle has to say about it. Could you imagine though being in the situation when the whole thing started and suspecting something evil in a regular old Raggedy Ann doll? Like, I mean, you said it. The movies, they have to spook it up, right? They have to make it look kind of creepy and crazy, and nothing like that. I could walk into my daughter's room here and pick up a doll, and it would be the exact same thing. It's like, who are you going to talk to or tell about this cute little kid's doll is causing havoc?
I have a phobia towards two things: spiders and the really creepy dolls that had the eyes that would open and close.
Okay.
Just, I guess you could say dolls in general, but I don't consider Annabelle to be something I would run in terror from if it was just a regular Raggedy Ann doll.
Sure. That's the point that I'm making. That's exactly it.
But as much as I love the paranormal, you could not give me enough money to just be in the same room with that thing. I'm sorry.
I've seen we've definitely come into contact with some of these, creepy dolls or collections of sorts. I mean, we've investigated places that are, haunted artifacts and relics, and they collect them and everything. And there's such a fine line of going into an investigation and just seeing something there, trying to interact with it, and then really going head on, like trying to open a door and coming into contact with this thing. And it's such a strange moment whenever you can actually physically touch one of these things. It's like supernatural put into a body, and it's so difficult to even put words towards as to how that would be and how that is. But then you add on top of it this other layer of this thing that has such a story and a history behind it. Literal death has followed it. I couldn't even imagine what that would be like to come into contact with that thing. But I don't know. It gives me goosebumps just thinking about her.
Speaking of which, the last time you and Daniel were on here, you all had at the train station.
Yeah.
Did you all ever find his actual body, or
we kind of lost the trail after the Historical Society had pointed us in that direction. We were really never able to follow that lead, and there's like nothing on it. There's no records. There's no real written history. No one really wants to talk about it too much. We were actually, it was just the other day I was talking to him about going back there and seeing if we could continue anything, but we kind of never heard back about anything. And we need, we need someone higher up in that township to kind of push. And, speaking of those kinds of things, that town where it is in Mars, PA, the Spooktacular this year that we were hosting, and the barbershop and tattoo shop that we've done. And we kind of opened up investigations, and even that train station this year, it all got canceled because some idiot was saying that it was bad for the town. So that town certainly has, I don't know, I don't want to say, covered up or conspiracies behind it or whatever, but I've heard some crazy things about that place. The things that the real history that they've tried to cover up there, and nobody just wants to talk about. And it's like one thing after another, and it really makes you question it. Maybe these things did happen here, and people just want to keep it as quiet as humanly possible.
I'm from Beaufort, North Carolina, and for those out there that don't know, just it's on the coast of North Carolina. It used to be a port town way back in, I would say 1700s, maybe even on up to the 1800s. But it used to be frequented by pirates, most notably Blackbeard.
Okay.
And he had a home there called Hammock House, all this other stuff. The town, we locals understand the history and the legend of this guy. Blackbeard was no hero. He was a cold-blooded, brutal murderer. But our town throws a pirate festival every year and has an actual pirate ship come in, and they have cosplayers dress up and raid the town. Our water tower even painted a portrait of Blackbeard on it and said Beaufort, the home of Blackbeard. And I'm sitting there the whole time going, we are commercializing a known historical murderer, a man who married a child and killed this woman, or she killed herself or something to that effect. He was not a good dude that you want to put on a t-shirt if you just kind of make a hero. But I get it. The tourism there is what the lifeblood of the town is. So the pirate thing kind of sells to children. I get it. I understand.
Yeah, that's crazy to make that, your town hero, your legend, something for kids to look up to. That's nuts.
Yeah, he wasn't a super nice guy. He
was not Jack Sparrow.
No. And we had other pirates, but he was the most famous and most notable, and the one that
they were able to stick a name to the pirating.
Yeah, that kind of roamed the town and hung out around there. I mean, used to go in restaurants, and they always had a portrait of him in restaurants and stuff. So I get it. But at the same time, I'm like, we all know the history of this guy.
Right. That's a whole, I don't know. The whole thing in general is very strange when things like that happen. But I mean, I guess the point being with all of that is we kind of need somebody that, I don't even want to say knows the town, because that's not, it's going to take some digging, and you got to know who to talk to, where to go. And it just, we would almost need.
Tell you. That's his pirate flag. Well, it's a skeleton holding a spear going through a heart and an hourglass.
Damn, that's actually really cool. See, that's the problem. They made him cool.
I got the flag only because, I'm not gonna lie, it's a cool design.
Right. Yeah.
But at the same time,
from there, and it's
I'm representing home. So it's everywhere back home. It's everywhere back home.
Probably the one thing that everybody can kind of attach to and relate to in a sense. So it's, they made something of it. Yeah,
I wish I could, if I can get moved back home, which I'm planning.
That's where you're going.
Planning. I'm thinking about going back either Ohio, up around where that might be the most likely because of my father.
Okay.
And he's getting up in years, and health ain't been
spend as much time as you can with him.
Yeah. But then there's home where I'm from, and I've thought about moving there. But man, either way, I would love to get a van, throw you and Dan in there, and take you all down there to Hammock House. Hammock House was Blackbeard's home.
Okay.
And
is it open to the public?
We would have to go through the historical society, but they never turn anybody away.
I was going to say, that's nothing new for us. I mean, if these businesses, like the places that we go to, at least the not overly well known, nationally well known, but some of the bigger places, a lot of the time they are through historical societies, because at the end of the day, that's really where all this money's going, is to preserve these places. So, working with the historical societies, absolutely nothing new for us.
So what they do is they do 2-year leases. So they'll lease out to a family or a person, whoever, and they will essentially, they'll live there and essentially be kind of like a caretaker in a sense.
Interesting.
And
like the old lighthouse, lighthouse people. I mean, that's wild. You don't hear about that anymore.
But nobody ever stays there longer than a year.
Oh, really?
Nobody.
Because of
everyone that stays there says there's weirdness going on in that place.
No.
So if you go to the bottom of the stairs, there's the old legend of there's this dark splotch on the floor at the bottom of the stairs.
Okay.
The legend has it that is where his wife was killed, or somebody was killed. We don't know because there's no historical record on it.
Yeah, I'm looking that up right now, actually.
So it's just speculation, but a lot of the legend revolves around this is where his wife was killed. My mother had I think she said a 4th or 5th grade teacher back in the 60s. And she tried covering it up. And every time she covered it up, the next day it would reappear. Now, that's one account. But when you go searching, that account
this is wild.
Ends up being another account of the same thing and the same thing and the same thing. There's also accounts that this woman that she offed herself haunts this property.
Okay.
And there's also a legend that he buried a treasure there.
On the property. Interesting.
Now, nobody says that his ghost roams there because his ghost stories revolve around Ocracoke Island, which if you want to look that up, that's really cool. Because that's where he was beheaded by Robert Maynard, the British.
Is that where they put his head on a pike? Okay.
Yep. And in Ocracoke, they say that around the bay at night, certain times of night, full moon, there you'll be on your boat and you'll start seeing this light whirling around your boat. And supposedly that is his spirit below the water because they dumped his body and kept his head. That is his body down there looking for his head. And that's where his hideout was on Ocracoke. So he was like good, upstanding man about town in Beaufort. He was Edward Teach, the known pirate, but nobody messed with him.
Right.
But at Ocracoke is where he did all his dirt.
Changed. Yeah, I mean, I have heard of that, like the treasure and legends and all that kind of stuff. I've never known of, the towns or anything like that, but.
So Daniel's asking if your love of history and local legends and lore like Blackbeard, that's what got you into writing. And that's why he's here. We're just talking about different ghost stories. I'm sorry that stuff interests me and I could go on forever with it.
I was going to say go on for hours.
Yeah, but Derrick has actually wrote a book on ghost stories called All Monsters Are Human.
Yeah, and, I mean, to answer Dan's question, I mean, that's one of the reasons, that's for sure. I've always had a love for history, especially lesser known things and the not as documented things, and anything that takes a little bit of digging, a little bit of researching, and trying to actually put all your findings down on paper somewhere. And the book actually kind of came about because I started writing, I mean, to that point exactly, I started putting our findings in our investigations on UNX magazine. So we would actually tell a little bit of the history and then have our investigation, our findings, and then kind of just tell what we thought we found, who we spoke to, all these kinds of things, which I think is huge for the industry. Like you're saying, most of it's entertainment, right? Well, half of the reason that we do these things is to get answers. It is to find out something, to speak with the the other side. And a lot of the time it just becomes a ghost story, right? Just, I heard about this guy and this thing. And well, we try to take it a step further and actually get these things documented. And, then kind of continuing on, I have always had a love for just, horror movies, the genre in general. And in the past, exactly. So in the past, I think I've shared some of them with you actually a while back, but I always kind of had that thought, I would watch these, like, I don't even want to call them B-level horror movies, less than that, and I'm like, I don't even care about the quality, right? It's like, it's the story you're trying to tell. That's the most important thing to me. The graphics, the special effects could be complete trash, but it's the story that you're telling that I'm drawn to. And so
I'm sorry, cut you off. It's what we call the midnight matinee or the grindhouse cinema.
Yep. That's exactly right. But no, I mean, first off, don't apologize. That's normal for me. I know how it goes. But so I entered competitions in the past. It really kind of got kicked off when I was, it was a long time ago at this point, but I was laid off for over a year. It was like 2009, maybe. It was in that time frame. And that's when I started really watching a lot of those movies, just because I could, something to keep me entertained, to not go crazy. And I would take those stories in the back of my mind. I'm like, I can do this better, right? So I would just kind of write things down, and I would jot things, and just rack my brain over different stories to tell. But then you combine that with history, and that's kind of what led to this first volume. It's a bunch of short stories, for lack of a better description. All Monsters is Human. It's 10 short stories, and each story kind of tells a little bit of something different. All with, in the same genre, in the thriller horror side of things. But for the most part, what I did with these to try to push it a little bit further, to hitting home, is I took a lot of time to research these places. If I talk about something, most of them will be local. Most of them are about the Pittsburgh area, or at least maybe I don't say it in them, but that's what I'm describing. However, how many small towns, steel towns, old mill towns do you know of that you could relate to that, But I did a lot of, I would call them like historical fiction. None of these stories are true, but they each have a little part of me, a little part of the area in them. And that was kind of my goal, is to tell stories that maybe they could be real. I mean, one of them, I actually, it was the first one that really kicked it off. It was the Dixmont Insane Asylum, and that's been torn down for quite some time. But in that one, me and one of my friends, he was part of our of Iron City Paranormal early on, before he started really traveling for work, and wasn't really able to commit as much as we need to. But we went there when we were stupid kids, kind of broke into the building, when it was all, if you're looking for it, it's towards the top. It's under D, Dixmont. But it was at the time guarded by security guards. They would literally walk the grounds. We snuck up through the woods, through fences. We actually saw, because they were getting ready to demolish it, we actually saw like I don't know if it was explosives, but it sure as hell looked like it. And we're walking up and we're seeing all this stuff. And we get to the front door. Well, definitely not front door. And one of the side doors, one of the entrances. And all of a sudden, I have my hand on the door, I'm about to open it, and all of a sudden, his nose just starts squirting blood. Like it was a horrible nosebleed. He wasn't prone to nosebleeds, anything like that. So, we go back to the car to try to clean him up and everything. We get to the car, there's no blood. Not one single drop of blood anywhere. It was the strangest thing. So we get back up, but then we noticed more security guards around. So that's one of my regrets, is not actually going into that building when I was younger. But again, I don't really want any kind of trespassing, citations or anything. But I showed him this story, and he's just like, wait a second. Did this actually happen? Like, did I black out? What am I forgetting here? So I combine things that are true locations, true places, even with stories that, to a point, did happen, and I just kind of put them all together, and that's how this all came to be, and it got such good reception that I'm actually I'm working on the full series. Not that they go together, but I'm actually working up to four of them. So this was the first. Second volume I've actually already submitted. So the third and fourth I'm still working on. But each of these books has an overarching story of sorts, of some kind of subgenre, if you will. And by the title of it, you could probably guess that this has to do. It's all monsters are human, so it's the dark side of people. The you don't have to be a monster glaring in your face, ugly, and to actually have a dark side, to have an evil side that comes through. So that's what this compilation of stories is about.
Well, some things that are the most scary typically are the most unassuming things that you would. I mean, if you see something that looks like a demon, then obviously
you're going to be scared right off the bat, right?
Yeah, but it comes at you looking normal, and then pulls the rug out from under your feet.
Right.
That's more terrifying.
That's exactly right. And it's, you throw yourself into the mundane. You're just going to work one day and things happen. You're going to, well, okay. So another one that I like to kind of share, because it is based off of things that I've done. I mean, half of the story, it's called The Collector. And what it is, it's really dives into isolation issues, depression issues. But I really started with the whole ghost hunting aspect. Some of these places would gift us things. One of the early ones was just a simple railroad tie. That right there is our Dybbuk box that I know that we've talked about before.
Yeah.
But things like that, I actually put into the stories, and the story kind of dives into all these things that we've collected in the past, and how it can really change your perspective and your outlook on things, on life. And really, in the long run, it's where's the line between what's truly your memory and what did actually happen versus what's just your thinking happened. And a lot of the things in the Collector stem directly from things that I've been gifted, things that I've just kind of built up a collection of. And it's kind of just one of those things that it took on a life of its own,
So if you would, maybe not everybody knows what a Dybbuk box is, and I'll leave that up to you to explain what that is in general, because I don't think a lot of people really know.
Yeah, I mean, So the Dybbuk box is actually an old. It comes from Jewish lore, where it doesn't have to be like a demon, but it could be. It's any spirit, any energy that is kind of taking control of you, or I mean, in this day and age, it would be kind of, a possession of sorts. And in the past, the way to get rid of these things was to first trick it into getting in this box. And you would do that by putting an earth element in there, something that is meaningful to you, um, and combine it with different with like one of the things that's in this is it's metal. Um, we only know that because we have a knockoff Dybbuk box that we had bought. My sister got it for me actually on eBay, I believe. But so there's some kind of earth element, like a soil, could be grounding, could be a metal, and then you combine it with crystals as well. And I have no idea what's in this one. The one that you have on the screen right now, it's still not opened. But what they would do is they would combine all these things, close it up, seal it with wax. You can see the red and purple wax seal on there to make sure that it's locked in there nice and tight. And then you actually, the way to get rid of this, you can't just throw it away or burn it, or you can't even sell them actually. The real way to do it is to gift them to someone. Someone has to be willing to take the box from you. The way that we actually got our hands on this one, and I say we, it was my stupidity. A woman that I worked with, her son had passed away. As she was cleaning out his room, it was just one of those things that she came upon. She didn't like the looks of it, but she ended up finding out that he was into the occult. Just kind of anything like that. And this was just one of those, she wanted to get rid of it. And she knew that we did ghost hunting, and we went to these places and tried to contact spirits. And, I don't think that she really ever believed in it. But she's like, here, do you want this thing? I'm sure. It looks creepy, right? We'll put it on some of our shows or whatever, and so I'd send a picture of it to Dan, and he's the one that's like, you're an idiot. Why did you take this? So I ended up finding out that it was this Dybbuk box that supposedly there's some spirit or something in there. Like I said, we've never opened it, but we will take it to our shows. And we have had, when we went to Hillview Manor at their HillCon, one of the girls that was on Psychic Kids, she was actually there. She was one of their like headliners, main attractions, whatever you want to call her. And she didn't want to be anywhere near it. She was, I don't know if scared's the right word, but extremely unsettled. She didn't want to even step foot in our room with that thing. Another time we had a woman come up to us at the Blennerhassett Hotel. And I believe actually we had done we joined you on your show here one of those nights. But she took the box and she was just rolling it around, and it was weird. I will give her that. She explained it like it was something live in there, like a hamster almost, where it would like kind of curl up into a ball and you could just kind of move it back and forth. It felt, I don't think furry is the right word, but it felt like there was something live in there. She kind of passed it off to us and we felt it and we agreed. It definitely felt like something was there was a physical state of some sort in there. And it never felt like that before. It doesn't feel like that now. I could go grab it right now, but it doesn't, it like almost changes. We've put our meters up to it, and there's no rhyme or reason for it. There are occasions where it will spike, these K2 meters that'll sense energy changes, that it will, jump and kind of show you that something's going on there, but no regularity. If it was an issue, it would be happening all the time, right? There's no rhyme or reason to the times that it spikes and it jumps, and it's just the thing's creepy. I will say that. At the Spooktacular, that Mars event, We actually had it out on our table outside in the sun. The wax started melting off of it. we had like an oh shit moment and took the thing into the tattoo shop, and we're just like, we got to seal it. We got to keep it in here, whatever this thing is. We don't want to know. I ended up going to a metaphysics shop and getting new wax and actually resealing it, because I'm like, even if there's a 0.05% chance that there's something in there, I don't want to have anything to do with it.
So
yeah, I say that, yet it's in my closet behind me. So
so you all almost released Gozer into the world, or
oh god, I don't know what we would have released. That's the point. I don't want to know.
or what was the other one's name? Vince Clortho and Zool.
Zool, yeah. I am the key master.
Well, yeah, we'll know if the box opened if Stay Puffed is like running around Pennsylvania. So,
I mean, probably make for some good s'mores, right?
Yeah, but I see dudes on YouTube. This was a friend, it seemed like, with these paranormal channels, like maybe 6 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, and they would go on these eBay or wherever they find this stuff, and they would buy these things. Yeah. And they would buy these things and then just bring it in the house and be like, let's see what's in it, and just open it up.
I know exactly what you're talking about. And I think I watched one time where the like a picture or something, like right behind him, he goes to open it, and like all of a sudden it falls off the wall, and you can see like a sudden burst of wind and everything come at him. But I mean, who's to say anymore, especially with AI at this point, like what's real versus what's not. But I guess on top of the whole thing of us not knowing, really, it could be anything. It could be someone's, old grandma that they wanted to keep around and stuck her in there. It doesn't necessarily have to be evil. I think that's always the connotation you put on it. Is it looks creepy, it's weird, it has a weird backstory, and it's bad, right? We don't know. It could be something good. It could save the world. And somebody just wanted to package it up and keep it with them. We just don't know. There's so many times of that where something's just unexplained, and you can try to debunk these things as much as you want or as much as you can, and I think that's good. And to be skeptical to a point. But just like Annabelle, there's so many things. How many times can you chalk something up to bad luck? It's just things add up.
Oh, you open the box and this looks at you.
Right. Yeah, I mean, so what you're looking through there are a bunch of I basically tried my hand at AI image creation. And I think a lot of them came out pretty good. And I used AI for some of my editing, and I used it for the images. Or the publisher actually said that she thought that this would work well with like an image to try to pull someone into the story, or give somebody at least an idea of what's going on through my mind. I'm like, is that a good idea? Do we really want that? But I think a lot of them actually came out pretty good. Just kind of going back and forth with AI, trying to figure out what the best feature of each story was, because there's so many stories in this thing that there's so many different layers to them that it's hard to pull out like one thing to put a picture of. But aside from something like that Dybbuk box, most of my images were AI created and kind of a compilation of the writings themselves. But that's what you're looking through here. That's what this folder is just, it's images. Not all of them made the cut, like the eyes that you just showed, but they give you an idea of some of the stories, some of the basis, the quick synopsis, if you will, of what I've written about.
Well, I mean, the thumbnail that I used for this live stream, I created with AI, and it recreated you. So
That it's crazy how that stuff works, isn't it? I mean, it's almost it's scary anymore. And I mean, speaking on that, that's kind of one of the overarching, um, you know, subgenres of Volume 4 that I'm working on is just, you know, who you can trust, what you can put your faith into, and uh, it's it's actually been very fun for me, kind of eye opening almost to really dive into some things. Like I did, the it's called A Step Backward. It's one of the stories in this, and it was actually a lot of it's not something that I really touch on
I
often.
fall backward.
Um, yeah, it might be that one. But it's actually all yeah, it's alien. And like I said, it's not something that I'm all that I don't want to say comfortable, confident. I'm not all that confident in. I don't know all my facts, all my, the ins and outs of it. But man, I dove right into this thing, and I was able to do some research on
Oh,
Buzz Aldrin and like Apollo 11 mission and just NASA in general. And it's actually really cool once you kind of dive into some of these things that you're not always surrounded by. The ghost stuff. That's something I could tell you a story at the drop of a hat. We've we've been around the block and been to all these abandoned, creepy locations. But man, I kind of opened my eyes up to the alien thing, and it was a whole different ball game.
yeah, like right now, that big story that's been going around about 31 Atlas, this
Yeah,
supposed giant mothership that's coming towards Earth.
coming in November. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah. And this thing is, so I'm sitting there going, oh, so Independence Day is not a work of fiction, huh? Is that what you're trying to say?
Exactly. Well, there's a lot of those things depending on which rabbit hole you want to dive into. That the entertainment industry has been slowly working its way into our lives and our understandings of all these things, and they put something out there time and time again, like you said, the Independence Day, and all of a sudden we are just accustomed to it, and it's gonna just whenever they do come, I guess at this point, it's gonna just be another species, another country, let's say, and we're all gonna be just so used to it.
Nobody can
Yeah,
tell
rabbit
me. I'm sorry if there's people out there that's like, we're the only planet. We're the only one that was in the Goldilocks zone here.
Oh, there's no way.
Out of every, the universe is continually expanding. It has
Exactly.
been proven by science. So there's new planets being formed every day.
Man, every day.
Every day.
Exactly. That's
So
right.
there's
And
no way that you could tell me that there isn't a civilization that is far
somewhere.
advanced to us
Right.
or still in the beginning stages of life.
Right.
So
It's just another one of those things where, just like what we do, you got to have an open mind to things. And I mean, there's no proof one way or the other that these things do exist or don't exist. And people say all the time, "Oh, they could just land on the White House's lawn." That would be bad for everybody. Okay, like I don't think that we want to start an intergalactic war, but
yeah, because if they flew hundreds of light years from one end of the galaxy to the other, or thousands of light years.
Yeah,
Let's take into the concept of a light year.
it's so difficult to even imagine.
So if they could do that, maybe we don't need to be shooting our boomsticks at them, because it's probably pretty safe to say that they've got some stuff that could just turn us to powder.
Well, I mean, there's a few different ways to look at that, right? Like, teach me. I want to learn about it. And on the other side, if they really wanted to get rid of us, they would have or could have done that how many years ago? So like I said, it's not my specialty. something I'm interested in, that's for sure. You know, Ancient Aliens is on one of my repeat playlists, but it's just fun to dig into these things and just kind of have an open mind about it all. You know,
Me and Luke, I was going to say, me and Luke, we talked about it on our new podcast called Two Guys, No Clue.
Yeah, I saw you advertise that one. Yeah.
And it really is. It's just two guys, and we're trying to learn, but we're no subject matter experts. So you're kind of getting the jackass perspective of this kind of stuff. But I said in that debut one that we did on July 4th, if you were an alien species and you come to this planet and you observe us, and within the first 2 to 3 minutes of it observing us, you don't want to talk to us.
No, they'd be out of here.
We're so violent, and we tend to say that we're a civilized species, but to a species that's come hundreds of thousands of light years from across the galaxy,
just to meet us. Yeah.
We're still doing cave drawings in a lot of respects.
I like Dan's comment, civilization in a locker room at an alien train station. I think that might even be giving us more credit than we deserve.
Yeah, it's kind of like what was it, Men in Black, when they had that. It was kind of like that little waiting area, the train station or whatever it was. But yeah, I mean, if you come that far, you get here and look at us, we're like, wow, those people down there have created a weapon that can wipe out an entire country.
Whereas they could have taken this and saved their entire world. And
for energy, sustainable energy.
That's right. But instead, we want to blow each other up and see who has the bigger bombs.
And we fight, and they're fighting over land because a certain piece of fabric with a design on it is there. Not saying I don't love my country, I do, but when you look at it I'm trying to look at it from their perspective.
Sure.
It's all primal. It's territorial combat, tribalism. And we are.
Well, how far have we really come? You know, like you said, with the caveman days and everything, like we're really not that much more advanced in that time span.
No, we just have less hair and PlayStation. I mean, it's basically.
I mean, look, what have we done with it, right? Like that's kind of what you have to look at, and it's like nothing. Not at least not anything that's that would make them want to be friendly to us, right? I mean, if they have some kind of I don't know, federation or something, I don't know. Do they really want us to be a part of that?
We don't have we don't even have the capacity or the technology to send a men, women, whatever, to the moon again, or even past it. Now we got satellites, James Webb Telescope, different things like that we could send out into deep space. But to send physical people past our own moon, we can't even do that.
That mentality, that mindset that you're going off of, I mean, that's exactly what I dove into in that that short story, the step backward, because you know, we went to the moon how many times? Why did we stop?
Supposedly.
Exactly. And all of those things, like, what changed? You know, what are you not telling us? What did we find out that we shouldn't have found out? And that's where my mind goes. You know, it's just how many different ways we can spin things.
There's too much in the way of, I'm more leaning towards we didn't. And the only reason I'm saying that, I'm not saying that we probably did. I'm just on the fence.
Sure.
But the biggest thing for us to stage it would be to say that we beat Russia to it.
Yeah. Oh, that's all it came down to, especially at that point in time.
Because we were in a Cold War, and does it mean like shivering cold? No, it was a war that was fought with money and who did what first.
It was really the deadliest competition you could find. But yeah, you're right, and that would have been the prime reason to do that, was to just say, like, we have the power and the capability, and we beat you to it. You know, that's really, and again, I can see both sides of it, and that's why my mind's, with everything that I read and researched and everything, we found something there that we weren't supposed to, and that's why we never go back. I mean, how many years is it this point that we stopped going? So that's kind of where I pick those kinds of things up with those little details, and
that makes sense because I've seen videos a lot of times, and not saying that this couldn't be staged, but I think there was one where this guy had his telescope and he just zoomed in on the moon, and you could see what looked like ships going in and out of the craters.
There have been a lot of those kinds of things. One of the ones that I love to reference is when they had their live feed from the moon itself. One of the astronauts picked up a glass bottle. It looked like a Coke bottle without the label. He's like, "We're not the first ones here," and it cut out. The footage has never been found, but people all around the country, whenever they were watching it, they swear that they saw it. You know, they cut the feed, they completely wiped it, and it's like, wait a second, what the hell's happening here? You know, but again, could have been that set. You know, so it's just another one of those things that you chalk up to where we're never gonna know. You know, no one's gonna outright tell us any of these things.
Correct me if I'm wrong on this, Derek, but isn't it documented that certain scientists have said that our moon is an anomaly that probably should have never happened?
Yes. I forget what the percentage is, but it was like how many zeros that they had in it, that the moon shouldn't be there. There was also a lot of tests that they did in their later missions where they would actually crash their craft, whatever they were in, into the moon, and just as a test to see what would happen. And it rang for hours. I believe they're actually quoted as saying it rang like a bell. You tell me what kind of object is going to ring?
A giant round rock.
Right.
That's supposedly a rock with no core.
Exactly. So you tell me that there's nothing inside of it, and then they also have documented that there are open pockets under the surface. Now tell me, is that like, that's exactly telling me that the moon is hollow without saying the moon is hollow. You know,
the thing that's always perplexed me with it, and maybe I'm just dumb using my monkey brain here with it, but the way it illuminates in our sky is unlike any other moon on any other planet.
Yeah, it's whatever the surface material is. It's the combination there, because it shouldn't do that. Like no real surface that is. Again, I forget exactly how they put it, but anything that's natural, none of the material on the surface of the moon is actually like natural. It's all made somehow. It's a compound, and it's amazing when you think that these scientists, these people that have worked their lives at these things, have gone on record to say these things. You're not going to stick your neck out and say those things and make those kinds of claims just because, you know, you're not trying to create a story. You're telling it as it is. And I mean, one of the biggest theories, to your point, is that it was moved here. I do believe one of the sides of the moon, I'm sure it's the dark side of the moon since we never see that side, actually has erosion as if there's been an extreme amount of wind that has just kind of tore it away on such a massive scale that they've actually claimed that the only way that it could get like that is to have the moon physically move so fast as if it was moved there through space. It's insane the way, like I said, how many rabbit holes do you want to go down? But that is definitely one that I went down, and it's, if nothing else, it's fascinating.
Yeah, because the moon doesn't have an atmosphere. It has a gravity, but not an atmosphere.
It's very minimal, though. On top of that, but there are even documented things about people saying that it is possible for certain species to live under the ground in the moon. If you take away the lack of an atmosphere and if you have something created on the underside of it, I mean that's almost it's just a created I don't know what the right word for it is, but like an ecosystem. It's a man-made ecosystem, and with that, you tell me that somebody couldn't live there under the surface. Nobody knows that they're there. No one's going to know how to do it. But why isn't it possible?
Well, we have the International Space Station, so people do live in space.
Sure.
So you've got our moon. You could build a base underground because they do it here on Earth. It's done all the time. The military has so many underground facilities here that it would make your head spin.
I was going to say, you wouldn't even know about them.
And they go down for miles. And you could create an artificial atmosphere inside of something like that, an artificial gravity, as long as you have the tech to do it. But is it a coinky dink? Does so many people have these videos of them looking up at the moon with their telescope, and it looks like there's traffic going in and out of things up there?
Right.
Right.
And it can be seen, like you said, through a telescope. You can see it that way. So how big is that going to be? Right. Like there's just so many of those things. We have no idea. And exactly like you're saying, with maybe it was staged. We're not going to know.
Staged to protect what it was, maybe.
Right. That's another one of those theories, is that all of these kinds of things have been, them coming out and saying that Roswell didn't actually happen. It's all protecting these things from us. I don't know if I want to be around when the shit does hit the fan.
Well, I'm like this. If Roswell's fake, then explain to me why so many of these encounters with alien craft or aliens in general are always substantiated by eyewitness accounts, and typically it's from federal government people who are on their deathbed,
that's exactly what pulled me into those things, those deathbed confessions, the things that no one has anything left to lose.
Yeah, the government's can't kill you because you're dying already.
Exactly.
So, the Roswell thing was, I think, a deathbed confession from a former, I guess, Air Force or whatever.
And I think that all came down to, I forget what his name was, but he actually had the transcript or whatever. It's documented. There's a picture of him holding this piece of paper that if you actually manipulate it and you clean it up and you focus in on it, it talks about them having victims and a craft and non-human elements, and it's just like things that we wouldn't have thought about to hide back then are starting to come to the light now. And this guy, all he wanted to do was save some of these things for his family. These metals that fold up and then kind of reemerge to their former state. All he was doing was saving it for his family. And it ended up happening that was just one of the massive secrets that the government's been hiding from us. And I don't understand why. I understand the Cold War time frame and everything back then, but why
I
after
don't
that?
I don't think they are as protective of it anymore. They're way more open about it now.
Sure,
But at that point in time, I don't think I think we've always had contact with other species from other places in the universe. You go into pyramids in Egypt, you go into other ancient civilizations, they have recorded history from hieroglyphics, paintings,
absolutely.
whatever you want.
And depending on
That
how you look at them or how you transcribe them, I mean, that's exactly you're right. It's been there forever.
and also explain to me what these oils are that have been quote unquote just now been discovered under the pyramids.
Under the pyramids, yeah,
These
the large openings and all of the different elements underneath them, and I couldn't
they
even
they look
imagine.
like power reactors.
Well, that's what everyone's kind of. I don't even want to say that that's what AI is telling us, but you put all
And
this
it could be
detail into those
AI.
things.
It could be AI. Not going to say it isn't, but mainstream news outlets have ran with it. Joe Rogan, different people like that have talked about it. Not saying that even they can be fooled. They can. But the evidence of the drawings, records that have been written, ancient texts, this, that, and the other that have made
It's all the
reference to
lidar
it.
stuff that started that.
But then all of a
Yep.
But then all of a sudden, everything went radio silent for a long time. And then when we dropped that nuclear bomb, or when we started messing with nuclear bombs, all of a sudden things started visiting us again and things stared happening. And it was
And
almost
again,
like,
no coincidences, man. I mean, it always comes down to that.
because they were like, yeah, I look at it as like maybe the aliens were like, oh no, they figured out how to split an atom. This is not good.
Yeah, well, and there's a lot of things that I've really dug into, like, past what could have been civilizations, how it's claimed that this is our fourth civilization, and is it possible that maybe we were given so much technology early on and we completely ruined everything exactly like we're doing now, and it was too much too quick, so they kind of learned from that and have taken a different path? Who's to say? But those are the exact situations that I really love going down and discussing and ultimately writing about. Again, getting pen to paper, and it's not just my opinion. Sometimes other people can be like, "Oh, wait a second, that makes sense," or "I can relate to that. I had the exact same thought." You know, and those are the reactions that I love to get.
Well,
Like,
like in
I'm
the
not
old,
alone.
like when you read the Old Testament in the pre-flood period,
Hmm.
there was some crazy stuff going on back then.
Well, yeah, you even think about
And
them with the different races, like giants and everything, that they're very open about in those books.
and then I think there's been evidence of glass being found in the deserts in Egypt. Not saying that it can't happen, because we get glass in North Carolina on the Outer Banks from lightning strikes
Sure,
on the beach, and it forms sand rocks, these
sure.
big sand rocks. It's normally from lightning strikes, um, from thunderstorms and so forth. But they find evidence of glass and stuff out in the deserts in the
Yeah, you
Middle
tell me where
East.
that came from.
And it does, I mean, it gets hot there. Believe me, I've been there
Have you?
twice for not Egypt, but Iraq, and it can get up to
Okay.
130 and 140
Holy
real
hell.
quick. But that's not the temp to melt sand or the silicate in the sand into
Sure.
glass.
Yep.
It took something really powerful
That's right.
and really hot. So
probably over a period of time too. When you really start thinking about some of these things, it just blows my mind that we as a species, as a civilization, haven't come further than we have. And it's all about power. Who's in power now? Where's the money coming from? Where's the I don't know. It's a whole different the politics of that kind of thing. But it does play into it. It's who's in control now and why are we covering it up? There's just a different reason this time around.
I could tell you as a retired vet, and I'm not putting the military down. I love the military, love our active duty service members, and I wholeheartedly support them. But we do get put into needless wars. We do get put into situations that we shouldn't have been put in. Iraq is one of them, and I will go to my grave saying that we should have never been there.
There's a lot of those situations that I've heard from people that were in service of some sort. And thank you for that, by the way, coming from somebody that has never been. But that's a whole different that takes a whole different type of courage, type of person to do something like that. But you're right, and you hear about it time and time again from your perspective.
But I will say this, the reason why a lot of times our government in particular, and probably most of them, they don't want to talk about that technology is because we haven't figured out how to weaponize it yet.
I believe it. I do. I absolutely believe that. Because that's what it's all about for our species is who's got the bigger gun. And it's scary.
Yeah. It's a dick measuring contest, excuse my speech.
Right. That's what it comes down to. It really is.
Excuse my language, I should say. But forgive me. But yeah, that's what it is. It's either we haven't figured out how to package it and sell it for some greenbacks, or we haven't figured out how to have a strategic advantage with that technology to win a war.
Too there is not necessarily that we don't have it. Like we may have it, but maybe we haven't back engineered it enough to the point where we can create from scratch. And that's kind of why it's being withheld, and we're not comfortable with it yet. So there's so many different ways that you could put a spin on that.
Well, I just look at it from the standpoint of medicine and different things like that, because you got kids laying in hospitals dying from cancer.
Yep.
You mean to tell me that that all this technology that you're creating that
couldn't help them?
Do all this cool stuff with in military situations can't be used to, I don't know, put their cancer into remission, maybe even cure them of it. So we're still using chemotherapy.
Yep. So that leads right into one of my other stories. Is I'm a cancer survivor, so I am medicine dependent. And how many times do you see zombies shows and books and movies, and it's been overdone, right?
Is it Armageddon?
That's right. Good guess. So being that I personally, if I were thrown into a zombie apocalypse, my strategy would be I would have to find medicine, right? I can't survive regardless of if I'm bit by a zombie or not in some crazy outlandish world. I still need my medicine. So I tried to take that and just put it in a different perspective. What if this happened to me? You know what I mean?
Or are you living with leukemia?
I had my thyroid removed when I was a child.
Oh, gotcha.
I have basically been a walking lab ever since. My medicine's always changing, and there's always something different that comes up, but it's still one of those things where if I go a couple days without my medicine, I can tell. So I can only imagine what months, years would be if would I even be able to to walk or stand, without it. So that was the perspective that I took, is just different. Like, what's my priority at this point? My priority, if I'm going to survive, is I'm going to either have to figure out how to make Synthroid, or I'm going to have to raid every single pharmacy from here to Florida, So it's just, again, just different perspectives on something like that, where what's the most valuable thing to you? And when it comes down to it, it really makes you think about it. Like, wait a second, I'm writing this story, but what if? And it's not necessarily zombies, it's the apocalypse in general. It's any of these kinds of devastating things where, what would I do? What would I need to do to survive? And it just kind of makes you look in the mirror and be like, well, okay, that makes sense.
So I am, I don't have nowhere what you did, and I can't even imagine, but I am a PTSD sufferer, and I have anxiety and panic attack. And I just found out the other day that I am high functioning neurodivergent. And for those that don't know what that is, I am on the spectrum.
Okay. So you combine all those things.
Yeah.
Holy hell.
I take medication, Bisprone, Klonopin, and Clozapam, I think it's called. Something, but it's my main one I have to take every day. Sure. If I miss 2 doses of that, my brain will start shocking my hands and my arms and my legs. I will start getting electrical shocks all over my body.
You serious?
I know this because I went one time without my medication for 2 days, 2-3 days, and I would be walking and my legs would just go out on me from electrical impulses.
Oh my God. That's insane.
So I am, like you, I'm dependent on that medication. So if a zombie apocalypse happens, I may not die, but I'm going to be in extreme agony until my body basically readjusts itself, because I'm going through a
would that be considered like a withdrawal?
It's basically a chemical shift in my brain.
Okay.
And it's just, my brain is just going like wonky.
What to do,
big time. Now, for my neurodivergence, or that's what I call it anyway, because they don't know necessarily if it's ADHD or low high functioning.
It's something under that umbrella.
So neurodivergence just covers the whole gambit of it. So
that makes sense.
And my child, people see me now, and even the docs are, my doctor at the VA, there's no way that you're that, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, if I've been living with it my whole life, I've obviously adapted to it and know how to function.
Your body's adjusted, and that's crazy though.
I can look back at my childhood and tell you I had a terrible time as a child. And in the 80s, nobody knew what.
No, nor did they care.
Like, it spectrum.
Was, right.
My mom got called into my principal's office in my elementary school when I was in 2nd grade, because I would daydream a lot.
Sure.
I could not function or focus on one singular thing at a time.
So they thought it was something different.
Yeah, he basically asked my mom if I was retarded, and that's exactly the way he worded it. And then my mom got my mom got banned from the school because she threatened to kill the principal. So there was that.
Hey, good on her.
Good mom. I mean, my mother was like 5'4", maybe, and about that big around. You did not want to mess with that woman. That woman had hell in her.
Well, it's such a strange thing when something like that happens, because I know my mom had to fight for me, and that was in the early 90s. Like, no doctor wanted to do anything. She's like, I know something's wrong. I know something's wrong. And what's, I don't want to say it's a good thing that they found something, but it's almost like relieving is you found it, you took care of the problem, right? But it like brings out a whole different side of you when something like that happens. You
Well,
know,
I
and
just
it's like
found out about mine 3 weeks ago.
okay.
And I will tell you, after now 49 years I've been on this earth, having that information, which at first I was like,
It'd probably be devastating at first.
it was a little off-putting at first, but then at the same time I was relieved because now I can put a name to something that made me very introverted.
Well,
I was
I'm sure
always,
too that that actually ultimately made some things make more sense.
yeah, because it's like putting a name to the thing that made your life a little bit more difficult to
Sure.
deal with.
It's
I
like,
was the
oh, okay.
weird, yeah, I was the weird kid in the neighborhood. I didn't know what group to fit into growing up. I
Sure.
didn't know how to really communicate with people, which I've done YouTube, and I
Right.
was in the army. The army forces you to learn how to
Yeah,
communicate,
you
believe me.
probably have no
So
choice.
yeah, so they beat that out of me. Not really beat me, but like mentally.
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
But yeah, going back to the whole zombie apocalypse thing, yeah, dude, if I was to quit my medicine, ooh wee,
Yeah.
it's gonna be it's gonna be hell for a little while. I'm gonna be laying there with my hands and my legs just
But to the I mean, that's exactly the kind of thing that makes me think, like, uh, you don't really it's not something that crosses your mind, and I'm not like, are we gonna live in a zombie apocalypse? Uh, Chances are no, ever, but at the same time, it could be anything that could affect you like this, and it's like, never really thought about that, and it's just puts things in a completely different light, and what's the most important thing to save myself? Well, that's not guns, hell, not even food at that point. I need this stuff to physically, you know, live.
uh,
So it's just
a, a zombie apocalypse is not 100% implausible because when I have read science, we'll take the video game and or television series The Last of Us, where these
mhm,
people get infected with this cordyceps virus from a mushroom. Well, guess what? A mushroom like that exists and it affects insects, mainly ants. And these ants get this spore inside of them, and this cordyceps takes control of this ant, and therefore it goes in and infects other ants.
and then from there it's just one thing leads to another. Yeah. I mean, you think about it too. There's a lot of the Haitian voodoo practices and everything. It's there's a concoction that they've made that can bring someone back from the dead. Like it can trigger the body to function. Uh, so there's always the I don't want to say probability, but a possibility that anything could happen at any given time. We just have no idea.
So I listened to a true crime story the other day, and I don't know if you've ever watched this guy on YouTube. I love him as Mr. Ballin. He's a former Navy SEAL,
I don't
and
think so, but I'm always interested in.
he does a lot of ghost stories, true crime. He did a Skinwalker Ranch episode, but uh, he'll never probably watch my channel. But shout out, Mr. Ballin. I love your content.
What's his name, Mister
But
What?
Ballin, all one word.
Okay.
But he did a story that I listened to the other day, and I'll have to go back and find it, and I'll send it to you in a text message. This kid who was a psychopath was having trouble with school and his family.
Okay.
So he takes it upon himself to try to axe murder his family.
Well, shit.
Not going to sugarcoat it. And
Yeah.
so he hits his father multiple times with this axe, to include the head and other parts. His father never woke up during the attack.
Holy
Now,
shit.
here's where it's creepy. His father got up in the morning, woke up by his alarm, went, took a shower, got ready, made his coffee, and just walked around like a normal person, went outside, did whatever, and then came back in the house and dropped dead.
How is that possible? That's insane.
Exactly. His dad was a dead man walking, and he was up and doing his regular morning routine with a massive head wound.
It's like your body's still trying to do the normal routine, like you said. That's nuts.
I guess it did enough damage to the brain where it didn't kill him, but he didn't feel anything.
I can't even imagine.
I don't know.
You said that he didn't even wake up. I mean, that must have been some brutal, I
think it was like 6 to 16 times. I think he hit his father with that axe.
Like
and his father still
Lizzie Borden.
Yeah, and he goes in and takes it, changes his clothes and does his whole morning routine.
That's insane.
Makes his coffee and then goes outside, does whatever, comes back in and drops dead.
So how have I never heard of this? That's crazy.
The mother survived.
Really?
Okay.
Similar attack?
Yeah. But she survives. It not as much head trauma, but more torso, leg area, stuff like that.
Okay.
The son is arrested. He's standing trial. His mother supported him through his entire trial and still to this day writes him letters and visits him and forgave him. And
yes, that's part of that weird thing about being a parent, man. That's crazy.
But it's also too, I could sit here and say, as a practicing Christian, I don't know, Derek, if I could forgive that.
I don't know anybody that could. I think that's kind of a human morality kind of thing.
I'm being straight up. I mean, the only person I know of that got murdered in public, Jesus, in the Christian religion, if you're atheist, whatever you are, hey, look, I don't judge nobody. But he was the only person I've ever read about in the Bible, and I'm not comparing this woman to him, but the only person I've ever read in recorded history as he was dying, looked down at the people that had murdered him and said, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." Now, this woman comes along whose son tried to axe murder her while she was in bed.
That's insane.
And just forgives him. And I'm sitting here going as
still in contact with him. And I mean,
and I'm being, hey, call me a sinner, call me whatever, but I am being truthful. Could I really forgive that? And that's why I say I am imperfect. I am imperfect because I don't know if I could.
At the same time, that's exactly it. You don't know. There's so many scenarios that play out that are just, could this happen? Could I act this way? Could I be this person? You don't know.
Number one, you murdered my spouse. And number two, you tried to murder me.
Right.
I mean,
but taking it full circle, man, that's exactly why I say all monsters are human. You know what I mean? Like, it's.
And the thing is how did the wife not wake up and not see her husband with this gaping head wound just walking around the house?
Yeah, that's a whole different side of that, I guess. She's a heavy sleeper. Maybe they sleep in different rooms.
I don't know, man. I mean, I'm a pretty light sleeper, but still, you hit me in the face with an axe.
Right.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to wake up wherever you hit me, but just in general, if you hit me in my extremities with the axe, let's be more realistic here. I'm probably going to wake up.
Well, yeah, I'm going to scream. I'm going to do something. Like, hell.
I'm not going to be sitting there grabbing my arm off the floor and doing some kind of weird, like, with it, just waving it around like a joke at people.
Right.
I'm probably going to be sitting there going, ah.
I mean, that's your meme right there.
It's like, really? My left arm? I'm left-handed.
Well, thank God for that.
But yeah, dude, that was like one of the craziest stories I had
I've
ever
never heard
heard.
of something like that. I really haven't.
Supposedly, this guy's in prison still for it to this day. His
Is
mom
he?
goes and visits him.
When did that happen? Like, was that more or less recent?
I think it was probably in the last century that we were just in, or in the 2000s.
Okay. Yeah, I'm surprised that even like, publicity wise, I'm surprised no one's made a bigger deal about that, or there's not a next Netflix show on that or something.
Let me see if I can pull it up on the old Google here.
Just AI.
Let's see. Lives after.
Maybe I'm just not describing it well enough. Let's do this. Let's start with the guys.
Well, this is a kid that did. Let's see if I can.
Exactly the same, but.
Son bludgeons his parents with an axe, but doesn't realize they managed to survive. Okay, that's in India. That's where it was.
Is that the one?
Yeah, I'm trying to get it to pull up. The Porco case. Let's see. Can I share this with you guys? And I think I can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing your screen just real quick, and I'm going to share this screen. Porco case.
Porco.
From India. Son smashes parents' faces with an axe. That's his mother, and she's there with him. Jeez. So this was 2004.
2004. Okay.
Joan Porco and Peter Porco were brutally assaulted by their 21-year-old son, Chris Porco. Detectives figured it was an inside job when nothing seemed out of place at the crime scene. No robbery, no theft, just parents with their faces smashed by an axe.
God.
And that's the dad and the mom.
Well, there you go. Nobody expected that.
This is their son, Chris, a college student with a few brutal axe tricks. Yeah.
Oh,
and this is the axe he used to assault his parents.
Jesus.
Talk about swinging for the fences. I don't mean to be funny.
That's one way to put it. Jeez.
Axed open his parents' head and left them for dead. Next morning, his father, Peter Porco, got up, started walking around doing his daily chores as if nothing happened. And that's the scene, everyone. So if you're squeamish,
holy shit,
just kind of look away. This is the bathroom where his father got up and was like doing his morning chores and handprints. So
this is like a pool of blood there. No big deal.
He used the bathroom, not realizing he was suffering from catastrophic injuries. This is sink. He was shaving, brushing his teeth.
Shaving a little bit.
There's his footprints walking around the kitchen.
Oh, God.
He put dishes in the dishwasher, guys. He took dishes out of the dishwasher, put them back in the dishwasher.
That's just like...
Even packed his lunch while still bleeding.
That tells you how much of a different level the brain is on than we would ever imagine.
Oh, this is what happened. He went to collect his newspaper, got locked out of the house, and still had his wits about him to think of the spare key under the potted plant.
My God.
Finally,
It's
death took
actually incredible.
over, and he fell face first, leaving a gruesome crime scene as his feet for the police. The mother survived
And like she
believed
wasn't a part of it or anything? Like,
believed her son was innocent.
oh,
Chris lived with her during the trial and even walked her to court every day until he was convicted
well, so
on all counts.
that adds a little bit more to that though.
And
Like,
it was second-degree murder. Huh?
wait,
Second degree? What?
how?
How does that make sense?
It doesn't to me.
And he got 25 to life. So good behavior. This guy will be out of prison in no time.
Oh God. All right, bring on those aliens. Is it November yet?
And this is an India website, India Today, like USA Today, but I have never heard this story in any American publications.
No, neither have I. Kind of been my jaw.
Chris Porco, everybody. Don't invite him over for a sleepover because ooh-wee. Dude, that is just beyond science, dude, that this guy gotta use the bathroom.
It really is incredible, though. Just thinking about it from an anatomy perspective, that's amazing that the human body works that way.
It makes me wonder, is there a possibility they may have took his brain to study it?
At this point, I kind of hope so.
Because, I mean...
Yeah, I want to know what's going on there.
I would like to know what got him to just keep pushing through like that, man. I mean, I've heard of some stuff from the battlefield when I was in the military.
That's a whole different story, though, man. That's no one can train for that. You know, that's not something that you're expecting.
We had a guy that they tell stories about all the time that I think Mel Gibson made a movie about him from World War I. Oh. He was a pacifist that didn't believe in carrying a weapon, but he still served.
I have heard about that. Yes.
And he was rescuing people off the battlefield, and he got shot, I don't know how many times.
I believe it.
But the adrenaline just it was World War I or World War II. It was one of those.
It's one of those things that I've heard of. I don't know much about it, but I've definitely heard of that.
But he's like a big legend in the military community about why, this dude, you just couldn't kill him. Could not kill him.
Superman.
I think he got shot numerous times, and then I think he finally succumbed to it.
Wow. Maybe
it was a different guy I'm thinking of, but I want to say it was the one from the Mel Gibson film.
I'd believe it. I mean, those kinds of things are all based on something. I mean, the best stories really are. You know, it's one of those things that I read about a Stephen King interview where he said that, like, he was asked why he has so many like writers in his stories. Like, well, you write about what you know. You know, he was a writer, he was a teacher, so that's exactly what he wrote about. And that's what I tried to I tried to hold that one close to heart with everything that I wrote about, whether it be the ghost stuff or even just, you know, the location. Like I know this location. I know the town. I can talk about it. You know, I can describe it. It's easier to describe something when you're living in it.
Yeah, well, also too, Steve King had a lot of help from Booger Sugar too, and a lot of his early writings back in the day. I mean, think about it.
How many he had to push out early on? That's crazy. This stuff, these short stories. I mean, I think this book is 230, maybe 200-ish pages. That took a long time to do. You know, I can't even imagine doing what he did, pushing all those books out like that. It's absurd. And I truthfully, I don't blame him for using that.
If y'all hear hammering, I do apologize. We got some construction going on outside, but his son is really talented too. He
just
did
had
that.
some.
He does a lot of comic book stuff too.
He just had a movie release, didn't he?
Yeah, Black Phone was based on one of his short stories.
His? Okay.
Yep. Then he did some comic books for DC. Their old Vertigo,
I knew he was
Vertigo
in that
imprint.
Things a lot. I didn't
Back
realize
when,
he was part of Black Phone though. That's crazy.
Yep. He did some DC stuff. Basket Full of Heads, I think it was called. Another one called The Dial House. So yeah, I like him. But yeah, old Stephen King and even old Frank Miller. And Frank Miller's like, to me, the greatest comic book writer ever, but I'm a huge Daredevil fan. I love Daredevil. That's like one of my favorite comic characters. And yeah, Frank Miller had a lot of help from the Snowman when it comes to writing a lot of that old Daredevil and that
just seems like a recurring theme. I don't.
Daddy needs his medicine. Yeah. I'm having writer's block.
Right. I need something here.
No, Frank, that's called a deviated septum.
That's not going to help you.
Just see him just rip a rail real quick, and he's like, "Ooh, man, I just had a new idea for a comic book."
Whatever it takes. Entertain me. Here, take some of this.
All right, man. What other I know you got to get going here in a minute. Is there any other story you would like to kind of highlight here real quick?
As far as highlights go, I've never really been too big on actual monsters, right? Like, crazy. I don't even know how else to describe it. Bigfoot kind of stuff. And, but Shadow in the Woods, I was able to kind of piece together some things and actually kind of change things around a little bit, kind of flip the script, if you would, where a person, the person itself is more of the monster on the outside than the actual monster. So the monster kind of becomes the protagonist. And it's that one I thought was very interesting to me, just because I was able to kind of flip it around and have the monster be the good guy, rather than, this big, ugly, nasty thing is as your bad guy who's killing everybody and, wreaking havoc. And it's actually the other way around. And having the guy that you would think, this polished, Ken doll looking guy, is your villain. He's honestly he doesn't look like it, but he shows his true colors in the form of a monster, but just in a different perspective. And
Can I interject something here? You know what? Just looking at these pictures, I get a vibe. I don't know how many people have ever heard the legend of the Bell Witch.
Oh yeah.
And just looking at these pictures, I get that Bell Witch vibe.
Down in Tennessee.
Yep.
That one. Yeah. I can see that. I can absolutely see that. Yeah, I was just trying. I didn't want to be like overly. I don't know. I didn't want to give anything away with the pictures. I wanted it to be kind of ominous and just give you something to go off of. But I didn't want to show anything crazy. I didn't want to show an ending. I didn't want to show even any of the characters, because, once you see something, you see a person, regardless of what happens after that, whether you're reading something or you see a sequel and it's a different person. I don't like to put a face to things. I want whoever's reading these things to actually do it themselves. put a little bit of you in it. And that's so I tried to avoid as much of that kind of stuff as I could with the images. Like I honestly I wasn't really even a big fan of doing the images at first, but I do think it adds a little bit to it, which is why I wanted to share all those with you, because I think it adds to it, but it doesn't do anything over the top. It doesn't make it like, nothing in your face or kitty or anything like that. But I think it adds to the stories a little bit, just to give you a little bit to go off of.
I dig it, man. I love all that paranormal type stuff, but old legends, different. And I know your stuff is more from a place of fiction, but I know there's a lot of inspiration from it, from life
Absolutely.
experiences,
That's
cases
exactly
you've
right.
investigated, different things like that.
That's
And
exactly right. And moving forward, I have been asked to do more of like our actual investigations as far as, a book goes. So, that's another one of those projects that maybe if I can ever find the time, that'll be coming down the pipeline too. But, if nothing else, this is a starting point, and it's I've been getting some good feedback. Any feedback is good in my mind, good, bad, ugly. But it has been getting some good feedback, and I am excited to continue this and share even more. Like I said, I submitted volume 2 already. Number 3, I'm kind of polishing up, and 4 is just starting. So hoping to have even more of these short stories pushed out, and who knows what's next.
kind of inspired me, because I've been carrying a story around in my noggin for years, and I've just not had the courage to actually put in the paper, or in this
Yeah,
case with technology, fingers to keys, I
yeah,
should
right.
say, to actually
I mean,
write it.
honestly, I would love to go in on something like, do something together. If you share the story, I can try to put something down. I think that would be like a cool two sides of the same coin sort of thing.
Oh, I got a lot of old North Carolina ghost stories that I
Those are
can
also good.
share with you.
Hell yeah, man! Anything you have like that, I can. What I've tried to do is put a lot of these things into like story form, so it's not just bullet points. This happened here, this happened there, this person or that person. I try to like create a story out of something, just so it's, if nothing else, it kind of draws people in. It gives them something to, like, a different memory to work off of, rather than just memorizing this legend or that legend. It kind of
Yeah.
puts things in a different light.
Like, we have the Devil's Tramping Ground up in North Carolina, which you could totally do a fictional story from.
True. And
It's
I think
just
I
this.
think that's why I love doing them, is because you can kind of put your own spin on some of these things, even though they are well-known legends. That all it takes is saying, "Well, I went here, I did this," and then all of a sudden you can branch out into whatever aspect of the legend you really want to.
Blackbeard has numerous stories. The old light keepers from lighthouses back home. That's
Oh,
that.
I'm sure that there's a crazy amount of that kind of stuff. There's always, I don't know what it is about lighthouses, but there's something that there's always a story about them.
I told you about. I went on an investigation at the St. Augustine one, and
Yes,
I watched the Ghost Hunters episode with back when Ghost Hunters first came out. And I was skeptical because
sure.
that one had such clear evidence to it. I was like, either that's a person leaning out over that railing, peeking,
You talking
or
about like
it's
that dark
legit.
shadow or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But, ladies and gentlemen, ghouls and ghoulettes out there, I can tell you from a point of view perspective of going into the lighthouse keeper's house, all over it, and the lighthouse itself, there's something going on in there. And I don't know what, but there's something going on in there. So I went and paid to go with a group. And I went and snuck into the lightkeeper's house when nobody else was in there, because I wanted to experience away from the group. Wasn't supposed to do it, but I did it. So I snuck away. I go in the house by myself, and I sit down at a table over by like a dining area or kitchen. And I'm looking through this photo album, but my elbows are not resting on the table. I'm just flipping through the pages, kind of like this. And I'm just looking around and I'm like, this is kind of lame, dude. And ain't nothing going on in here. And all of a sudden, the table, which was kind of sitting on a floor that over time had settled and it was not as even, the table shifts. It goes, don't, like that. Now, the only thing I could chalk that up to was somebody putting their hand on it and making it shift and then taking their hand off and making it go back or something. I don't know. I didn't stick around long enough to try to debunk it because I got out of there real fast.
That's where you go with the unexplained side of things, man. You just don't know.
And then me and this dude were inside the lighthouse together and people were walking down the steps. And my ex-wife, shout out Jennifer, she watches my content. We don't hate each other like most exes do. But she was outside with our daughter, and because Kayla just wasn't having any of it. She claimed she got touched and it freaked the kid out. She was like 11 years old at the time, freaked her out. She went outside and was not coming back in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame her. You don't expect that to happen, you know?
No. And here I am, Mr. I love ghosts, and I'll run right into it. You know, I don't care. I'll run right in. But the thing with the table freaked me out because
so you were already on your nerves.
Yeah, I was on edge because I didn't know what to expect, and I really wasn't expecting that. But inside the lighthouse, me and this guy were just sitting there, and we looked up and we saw a person walk down the steps. Now, there was nobody else on them steps. Nobody, because everybody had already come down. They were getting ready to call off the tour kind of thing or the event. So everybody was kind of either down there by me and this guy or outside. Me and him both look up, and I wish I'd have took a picture. We see a person sitting on the steps. They turned the lights on inside the lighthouse itself, and that person disappeared and was not sitting on them steps anymore. And I thought, okay, I've been in the dark this whole time.
You're seeing
maybe
things.
It was something playing tricks on me. But the guy next to me saw the same thing I did.
Yeah, that's not.
It was a shadow figure sitting on the steps, just chilling. And when they cut the lights on, he was not there anymore. Now, if it was just me that saw it, I can't chalk. Right. Yeah. But the guy standing next to me saw the same thing, and we both looked at each other, and we didn't know each other. This is two strangers that are both like, did you see that?
Yeah. I mean, the best kind of things that happen are things that you couldn't document, things that you just experience. And that's, that's kind of the route that we've taken anymore. That's more important, to experience it physically like you did, rather than to get a picture of it, as fantastic as it would have been. But it's phenomenal to see something like that, almost life-changing.
So I just walked outside and just looked over at Jennifer and Kayla. I was like, it's haunted. It just went on about my day, or night, that is.
Confirmed.
Well, man, I know you got to get going.
Well, thank you for having me on and talking about this. I just want to keep sharing as much as I can and keep getting the word out there, because, it's one thing to come on and talk ghosts and investigations and stuff. It's a whole nother to try to.
We should do this more often, because I've had fun with this, because I've always wanted to just have somebody and just talk about conspiracy theories and monsters or ghosts, just whatever.
Right.
Because that's fun for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
For me, the unexplained, we think we have all the answers, and really we don't.
Not a chance. That's absolutely right.
We understand nothing about this world that we live in.
I was going to say the planet, the universe, nothing. Not a chance.
It's like me, saying that I'm, a practicing Christian, and so many in that faith will go, well, I understand God and I understand this. No, we don't. We don't.
Not a chance.
We understand nothing of anything.
Yeah, I don't care who you are.
We
Nobody.
have our theories and speculations, but
That's exactly why you got to keep an open mind about everything.
so, I just take things as they are.
That's right. That's all you can do.
It's like the deep ocean. And everybody says, well, there's no such thing as a megalodon.
Why not?
Well, we can't get down to the bottom of the bottom of the ocean. So what do we know that's down there?
Right. You don't know.
So where can the fine folks find your book at? I know Amazon. Is there any other websites like Iron City Paranormal? Or?
Yes. So you can actually find it on ironcityparanormal.com under our publications tab. That's actually where you can also find the magazine as well that we write for. So if there's a location that we've investigated that anybody would want to know more about or read more about, that's also where you can buy the magazine on our website as well.
And to do you a solid, because I consider you and Daniel very close friends, my website, Fiendish Fantasy Productions LLC.com, I will put it on there under the Iron City, because I still have your all's information
I can't tell
on
you how
there.
much we appreciate that.
Yeah, and it blows me away. I always get emails that says you have heavy traffic in your website. I'm like, I barely even use that website. Okay, cool.
Well, it works both ways, right?
Yeah. Because I let go of the LLC because
I get that.
It was just getting to cost too much money. And at the time, I thought maybe I could build it into a indie film production business. And I may come back to that someday, but right now it's just not feasible.
If you ever want to do a anthology, I got the stories for you.
Yeah. Well, all right, buddy. Go enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I'm going to go grab me something to eat. And
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, you're welcome. Then I'm going to clean this apartment and do some stuff outside. Adult stuff. The stuff that sucks. But
enjoy it while we got it, right?
Now, but buddy, like I said, it's been an awesome catching up with
always is.
With my Yinzer buddy here.
Always is, man. It's always a blast.
You could tell, I can always tell who was a real Steeler fan if they know what that word is. I can always tell if you're a fake or a fair weather, know what a Yinzer is, and you're probably a Steeler fan or a Penguins fan or a Pirates fan, but typically nobody talks about the Pirates.
No, nobody does. Nowhere do we want to.
Got Paul Skeens. He's good.
For now.
That's like it. Yeah.
That won't last long. Guaranteed.
Yeah, the 70s have been a long time ago, man. That's been...
He'll be a Yankee soon enough.
Probably. Well, all right, buddy. You have a good one. And everybody go buy Derrick's books on ironcityparanormal.com.
Thank you.
Soon to be on Fiendish Fantasy Productions LLC.com, Amazon, and I think that's about it.
That's about it
for now. So go get a copy of it if you love spooky stories, short stories, and hopefully we'll have Derrick back on again sometime, and hopefully Daniel as well.
Absolutely. We'd love to.
All right, buddy. Been nice having you on. And to all you fine folks out there that joined us today, I thank you. And been old John, old Derrick, behind the feeds. We'll see you later.
Thank you.